Hello friends, if you have seen in my earlier video, I have finished with the second law of motion, which mostly talks about force is equal to mass into acceleration. And now I am showing you the graphs related to F, M and A. Now when you look at this formula over here, F is equal to M into A, that is force is equal to mass into acceleration. Now as I told you in my earlier video, how are they related? First you need to see that. Force. Now the first graph what I am explaining you is between mass and acceleration. How are they related? They are inversely proportional, means if one increases the other decreases. Now when you look at the graph, you should be able to read the graph also. Suppose this is the origin. You look at this, on the x-axis I have shown you the mass, on the y-axis I have shown you acceleration. So keep in mind that as the mass increases, see when I am going here, this line is going over here. As the mass increases or as the value of the mass increases, the value of acceleration is going on decreasing. Okay? So that's why they are inversely proportional. I told you an example of tennis ball and a cricket ball. So as mass is increasing, its acceleration will decrease. In case of a cricket ball, the mass is increasing compared to a tennis ball. And because mass is increasing, its acceleration will, as mass increases, acceleration decreases. So they are inversely proportional. The second concept we are taking is between, now M and A is over. The second one is between force and acceleration. Force and acceleration, they are directly proportional. More force, more acceleration. To any body, if you are applying more force, obviously it will accelerate, it will go faster. So directly proportional is always a straight line graph with the x-axis. So if I take force on the x-axis and acceleration on the y-axis, you can see that it gives a straight line graph, and a straight line graph always tells you that these two quantities are directly proportional. Comes the third part. The third is between force and mass. Again they are directly proportional. If a body is having more mass, children, you will have to apply more force. If a body is having a small mass, you will have to apply a smaller force. Very much you can think it as a common sense also. And again I told you, whenever they are directly proportional, it is always a straight line graph with the x-axis. So as the value of mass increases, the value of force is also going on increasing. So this forms the basis of F is equal to MA graphs. After that, I want all of you to read this universal law of gravitation. I will read along with you so that I can explain you even better. The law of gravitation, actually Newton used this law to give you the relation between Earth and the planets or the moon, and how Sun and the other planets are all remaining in the same universe or in the same system. How are they attracted by each other, and hence they don't move out of the the galaxy or the universe. Now here, the force of attraction acting between two particles. Children, two particles can be anything. Earth is one particle, we are another particle. Or if I am one particle and I am throwing a stone, then these are the two particles. Two particles means two bodies. The force of attraction acting between the two particles is directly proportional to the product of their masses and inversely proportional to the square of the distance between them. Now to understand this, I have to tell you by a small diagram. Like they are saying there are two bodies. Imagine, say this is one body which you can call as Earth, and say a small body, any other planet also you can take. I can also take Moon. These are the two bodies. You know that Moon is Earth's satellite and it moves always around the Earth. That is again because there is force of attraction between them. But they are having different masses. Earth has more mass compared to Moon, and hence what have they said? The force of attraction acting between the two particles. This is one particle, this is another particle. I could always take also Earth also and a stone also. What happens to that stone when you throw it up? It gets attracted towards the Earth. So mostly it is the larger body which attracts the smaller body. So the force of attraction acting between the two particles is directly proportional to the product of their masses. Imagine this body has mass m1 and this body has mass m2. So it is directly proportional to their product. Now if I take the force of gravitation as F, this word, I am splitting it again into two parts. The force of attraction acting between the two particles is directly proportional to the product of their masses. Children, this is the symbol which we use for proportion. And it is directly proportional to the product of the two masses. Isn't it this product, m1, m2? And it is inversely proportional to the square of the distances between them, but rather square of the distance between their center of gravities. So if I assume this, I had told you that this is Earth and I will write Moon over here. Then if you take the center of gravities, then actually this is the distance between them. This is called as D. Distance is always supposed to be taken from the center of gravities of the two bodies, because the whole mass of the body is supposed to be concentrated at its center when it is a circular body. And it is inversely proportional to the square of distance between them. Means this force is inversely proportional to the square of the distance between them. Hope this concept is clear. I am reading again. The force of attraction between the two particles is directly proportional to the product of the two of their masses and inversely proportional to the square of the distance between them, or rather square of the distance between the center of gravities of the two bodies. To remove this proportionality sign, I am supposed to give a constant of proportionality, which I am taking as F is equal to G m1 m2 upon d square. This G is called gravitational constant. It has a fixed value and that value is given in your book. Some of you are supposed to learn it as has been told by in your class, and its value comes to 6. I am writing over here, value of G is 6.67 into 10 raised to minus 11 into 10 raised to minus 11, and its unit is Newton meter square kg raised to minus 2. Only this value has to be learnt. It's an important concept. So this is about law of gravitation. Now I will go just further little bit to make you understand that how gravity changes from place to place. Now children, from here you got this concept, F is equal to G m1 m2 upon d square. Also you know another formula for F is m into G, mass into acceleration due to gravity. This is equation 1, equation 2. Both are F. I can equate them as G m1 m2 upon d square is equal to mg. Right? Now this G I can also take as G m1 m2 upon m d square. I took this m down over here. Now this all part, children, all this part is constant. I told you this is gravitational constant. It has a fixed value, so it is constant. m1, m2, that is these masses are constant. This mass is of a body, that is also constant. So if anything is constant, I assume that it is not counted, because its value is not going to get changed. So from this equation, I can directly say, ignoring all the constant value, what factor is going to change is only the distance between the two bodies. Right? So from this I can assume that G is inversely proportional to d square. Now from this you get the concept of how. Now what is G? G is acceleration due to gravity. And acceleration due to gravity keeps on changing from place to place. You know that. What is the value of G actually? G we always take as 9.8 meter per second square. For our consideration in the numericals and all, we mostly take it as 10 meter per second square. But this value doesn't remain same on the earth itself. Now, when you know this concept, I can explain you over here. We know that earth is geoid in shape. What do you mean by geoid? It is not spherical. Okay, it is slightly geoid like this. Earth is geoid in shape. So this is what, and this is the, now here is what you call is the pole, and here is what you call as the equator. Always keep in mind acceleration due to gravity G is maximum at the poles. Whereas as you go towards the equator, the value of G is decreasing. Why does it decrease, children? Now look at this distance. This is the polar radius. This is the center of gravity of Earth. This is the polar radius. This is the equatorial radius. Which distance is more? Obviously, the equatorial distance is more. So you are going from the center of the Earth. You were at a lesser distance. Now you are at a more distance. It means you have moved from here to here. Now whenever a person is in a polar region and if he comes to equator, the value of G at this place is decreasing. Why is it decreasing? Because this distance has increased. Distance increases, gravity decreases because they are inversely proportional. Same thing happens is, suppose if a person moves to some altitude. What do you mean by altitude? To a height. He goes on a mountain. He is going away from the Earth's surface. When he is going over here, again his distance, this person's distance from the center of gravity has increased. So distance has increased, gravity also decreases. So it is the highest at the pole. From pole, if you are going to equator, it decreases. Suppose you are going from an equator to a mountain or to a mountain peak or to an altitude, it decreases, accelerates, because this distance is increasing, and distance and acceleration due to gravity are inversely proportional. Third case is that if you are going deep inside a mine. If you go deep inside the mine, children, if I use this formula, in this formula also you can talk about force of attraction. What is happening when you are going inside a mine? Actually, you are going towards the center of gravity. When you dig a mine, so the full mass is coming out and your distance to the center of gravity is decreasing. When you reach to the center of gravity, acceleration due to gravity is zero. At the core of the Earth, at the center of the Earth, it is zero. But in a mine is not at the center of the Earth. You are just digging some part of the Earth and you are going towards. Actually, the distance is decreasing. If distance is decreasing, acceleration due to gravity should increase by this. But at the same time, the mass is also decreasing. What is mass? The soil which you are removing is the mass. The mass of one body is decreasing very rapidly because a lot of amount of earth is dug out, and then only a big huge mine is created. So that mass is comparatively much lesser than the distance being reduced. And when this is so much less, the mass is becoming so less, and hence force of attraction or acceleration due to gravity becomes less. So only in one nutshell I'll tell you, on the pole acceleration due to gravity is maximum. As you go to the equator, it decreases. As you go high up on the mountain peak or on the altitude, it decreases. When you go inside the mine also, it decreases because the mass is comparatively decreasing much higher than the distance. At the center of the Earth or at the center of gravity of the Earth, it is zero. Why? Because their mass is assumed as zero. And lastly, it is the maximum at the poles. So this has to do with the concept of acceleration due to gravity. Now the next law, which is the third law, is very basic law. It talks about action and reaction. So that I can just tell you in the form of a sentence that every action has an equal and opposite reaction. Now what do you mean by every action has an equal and opposite reaction? Suppose there is a book kept. There is a book kept on a tabletop. Suppose this is a tabletop and this is a book. This is a table, or rather right over here, this is the table, this is the book, this is the center of gravity. This concept is very clear, very important. Now in the third law, we always talk about action and we talk about reaction of a body. Now what is the action? The weight of the book is always pointing vertically downward. So weight is acting vertically downward, which we call as the action. But what does the table do in turn? The table also is reacting back. It is trying to apply a force on the book, and that will always be vertically upward, which you call as the reaction force, which is always the normal, or it is always at a 90 degree. So this is weight of the body is the action. The force applied by the table in the opposite direction is the reaction. Children, if the weight is 10 Newton downward, then reaction has to be 10 Newton upward. That's why we say equal and opposite forces are acting on it. This has to do with third law. which is very easy and children find it interesting also. One last example I'll give you of third law and then I will stop. If you take you stand in front of a wall and just push the wall, or rather this board I'm trying to push with my palm. When I push it with my palm, say I am applying a force of 10 Newton towards the wall. If you apply it very hard, children, after a point you will feel the wall. You will feel the force of the wall on your hand. So the more, suppose 1 Newton force, 2 Newton force, 3 Newton, 10 Newton, 15 Newton force if you are applying to push the wall, obviously the wall is not going to get pushed. But you can feel the force in the opposite direction which the wall applies on your hand. And that is the reaction force. So if action force is 10 Newton or 15 Newton, the reaction force will be in the opposite direction with the same magnitude. That's why we say equal and opposite. Equal why? Because the magnitudes are equal. Opposite why? Because they are in the opposite direction. So one is plus 10 Newton, other will be minus 10 Newton. This completes your third law of motion. Thank you so much.